36 Chevy. It's a master sedan. We actually pulled it out of a cornfield. When we bought it, it was sitting in the cornfield. Some guys put it together. They didn't want it anymore. Most of the parts were on the car. They just needed to be rebuilt and gone through. It actually started off as a project my grandpa and my dad were building, and I just kind of got involved, started taking over. It's got a 383 stroker crate motor with a turbo 350 transmission. Front end's out of a Mustang too. The rear end's out of a Chevy Nova. My favorite part about rebuilding the car was actually getting my hands dirty, actually needing to do parts myself just to get the car on the road. Like building parts, custom, anything else I needed to get the car going. Started looking into cars when I was about 7 or 8. My dad got me into them. We've been working on his Camaro since, so it's been pretty fun.
Indiana, can you tell us a little bit about your car? Did you build the car? Or,
yeah, it took me 3 years to build. It's a 1927 Ford Roadster. It's got a Chevy 305 in it. It's got nitrous, wheelie bars. Pretty well done.
And what kind of a transmission or rear end are you driving the car?
It's a Chevy S10.
Okay.
And it's got a 350 turbo trans.
Now I see you haven't got it all finished yet. You got some upholstery.
I still got to finish the interior.
Okay. And that's pretty much then it's going to stay this color. This is kind of a common color that guys are using nowadays.
Yeah, it's flat black.
Flat black?
Yep.
It's more sort of the rod case.
Yeah, definitely. It's old school.
Old school stuff, yeah.
It's a 1973 911S in all original condition, original paint, all original interior.
How'd you come about getting this car?
My husband bought the car new in 1973, and sadly in 2008 he passed away, and it became my car.
And it's your car? So you
Yes.
do some joyriding in it, or
Yes,
you just do it
it's-
for the show?
It's fun to drive. You
Yeah.
gotta drive it. It's, otherwise you gotta keep the machine running.
Absolutely. Okay. Now you also said earlier that you had won a couple other awards
Yes.
for Porsche.
In July, I took it to the Porsche National Convention in St. Charles, Illinois, and it took first place in its division and first place in its class.
Wow, congratulations. So we're standing next to like a certified winner right here.
Very good. Out of 300 points, it had 295.
Oh, wow. That's pretty close to perfect.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any like technical information that'll wow me, or?
It's fuel-injected engine, which is kind of special. Four-wheel disc brakes, which was unusual in 1973.
Right, okay.
And air-cooled.
Air-cooled, okay. All right, rock and roll.
This car is a 1960 Ford Fairlane. I bought it from a guy's private collection out of Dallas, Texas. The car was actually in 12 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. It has signed signatures in the back of the car, and it has a little bit of history about the car and the TV show itself. The autographs and all the pictures and paperwork actually came with the car when I bought it. There is one of the episodes, I want to say it's probably episode 8 or 9, where Andy Griffith is actually checking the spark plugs or something on the car. And the car was being filmed from the passenger side, and it clearly shows the engine and all the stickers and everything was all legit and right in place. You can clearly see the air conditioner compressor that was dealer installed back then. And the inside of the car, you can see the radio, which is a 1960 version of the Motorola. Okay, well, first of all, in the Andy Griffith Show, they took the cheapest model Ford that they can get, and this is clearly just a Fairlane 300 or Fairlane. This car is equipped with a 292, which is called a Y-block V8 engine. It is a police interceptor engine. The car is stripped out with vinyl seats, and it has a 2-speed automatic transmission. I was looking for a 1960 Ford to purchase, and I was on eBay, and this gentleman who had the car had a bunch of cars in his collection, and I decided to bid on the car. I actually won the car, and when I got it, I did a bunch of work to try and keep it as original as possible from the show.
Bob, what's so special about this Charger?
Well, I built it as a General Lee. I wanted a General Lee all the years, and I finally came across and built one, and I found out that there's a General Lee group out there that's got about 800 of them that people have built.
All right, very cool. So I see you got some autographs in there, so tell me a little bit about those autographs you got inside there.
Well, I've been collecting them since about 7 years now. I got Daisy, Bo Luke, Roscoe, Cletus Enos, even Sheriff Little's autographs in there, besides some of the mechanics and the stunt guys that actually drove the cars.
Okay, very, very cool. So how long did it take you to build this thing up from start to finish?
I had it about 2 years, and it took me about 2 years to build it, and it's been built about 5 years now.
Okay, very cool. What kind of engine do you have inside there?
I got a small block 360.
Okay. So that pretty fast?
Yeah, it's a performance engine.
Okay. You take this to a lot of shows, or you just stick around local, or?
Yeah, I take it to some local shows, but mostly every year I take it to the Dukes Fest. And last year at the Dukes Fest, we had 80,000 people show up. And all the stars show up and the stunt people, and they make a big deal about it. And you get to go around a NASCAR track, and it's on CMT a lot of times on TV and stuff. So it's a pretty good trip.
I bought it off an old lady about 10 years ago. It was in a storage facility, and I bought it off of her for like $400, and I've had it ever since. Yeah, I basically did all the custom work myself, all the suicide doors and the tilt trunk and tilt hood and the candy paint job. The interior, we have a next box in there that we had installed, TVs, surround sounds. We have a lot of the interior was done by Ron out of Hammond, Indiana. The stuff in the trunk is basically hydraulics. We got 2 pumps set up. And we also have the rims are knockoff players, and that's basically it that we've done to the car so far.
And what year you say the car was again?
It's a 48.
1948.
Yes.
And did you go to a lot of car shows, or just occasionally, or?
No, whenever I can go with him, I always go. I'm a shotgun driver, so.
It's not. Hopefully, you don't go along just to help push it if it stops running, is it?
Well,
That's not.
if I have no, that doesn't happen. But if I have to push it, I'll push the car too.
How long has it taken them to get this car in this kind of condition?
Oh, it took about 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
I see it's got a lot of chrome. What color paint is on this car? Do you know offhand?
Actually, it was a mixture. They were looking through the GM books, kind of came up with it, mixed some different colors together. So.
Okay. Can you tell us what kind of engine it has in it?
It's a 350 engine.
Well, you're pretty knowledgeable about this car. It must be really a family thing, huh?
It is. I love it. I've grown up around it since I was really little.
Is that right? Yeah.
It's a 1926 Model T two-door.
Okay.
It's a whopping 21 horsepower. The car originally sold for $480 back in its day.
Okay.
It is basically original other than a new paint job, but all the running gear is original to the car.
So do you drive this here then?
I drive it anywhere I possibly can go. I'll go to the store with it, and it's not a trailer queen.
Yeah, what's the top speed that you can get this thing up to then? You said 21 horsepower.
Well, it's there is no speedometer, so I have to ask people alongside of me, and
I
had it
like
close to
that
45 miles an hour, but then we got to try to stop it, and that's
okay. Great. Any cool, interesting facts you can tell us about this particular model of the Model T?
The last 2 years, this had the second to the last year. 27 was the last. They tried to make improvements, adding some chrome to it, and creature comforts like a driver's seat that has springs in it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Other than that, the one unique thing is the bud vases that are in the back. People ask us about it if it was original, but it was an aftermarket
addition on there.
Flowers were put in there because the original interior was horsehair, a little bit of moisture, and put a little odor to the car. So flowers were the original.
All right, great. Last question, where did you come across this vehicle?
This car was bought about 30 years ago, VFW Hall in Highland.
Okay.
It was a parade car. It was all original, and it was running when I got it.
Well, this is a 79 MG Midget. It's the smallest car that MG made. It's the last year that they made the MG Midget. I've got it for about 3 years, and I've pretty much cleaned it up. It was pretty much intact. I haven't done any paint work to it or anything like that. But it was up in Galena when someone called me up. I've got a bunch of little MGs and Triumphs that I restore over by the airport in Lansing. And someone called me up and said they knew someone had a car like this. Would I be interested? So I went up to Galena and took a look at it. It was under a bunch of trees and leaves, and it was all dirty, and I saw the potential, so I made the guy the offer. And it's really not an expensive car, but it's a real nice car. I enjoy it, you know. Gets great gas mileage, and did a lot of cleaning up to it more than anything else, but I really enjoy them. It's got a 4-cylinder, 1500cc motor. It's a 4-speed manual transmission. And it's manual brakes and all that, so there's nothing automatic to the car at all. If I open the hood, you can see everything, and one of my best So I drove it downtown one day, and some guy says, "Your car smells like a lawnmower." So that's probably the best compliment I ever got about the car. You know, there's no pollution control or anything on it. It's just get in the car and go, give it gas and go. Ever since, I've been involved in restoring and buying cars ever since high school, and I've had all kinds of cars. I had a Studebaker I traded into Chrysler for a minivan. I've owned Chargers, and then when I finally bought a little car, I bought a Triumph, and ever since then I've been hooked on the little cars. I probably own about a dozen MGs and Triumphs right now, and then a bunch more in parts. So it's a lot of fun. They're like potato chips. You can't have just one, you know?
Bill, you have quite a tale about this car, so would you mind telling me about it?
It's a 1963. It's got 39,000 miles on it, and the guy that did it for his dad, and then his dad said he didn't want to keep it anymore, so we bought it. We looked at it one day and bought it the next. You just don't find them. I looked for this style of a car. It's a 1963. I looked for it for 10 years.
Wow.
So he completely took the car apart, doors off, fenders off, turned it up, did the inside, the outside, redid the engine and the transmission, put it back together, and then redid it. You look at the engine, it's a brand new car.
Wow.
And he redid the inside, so I mean, it's virtually a new car. When you drive it, it feels like a brand new car.
So you told me this car was designed in a certain way. You mind telling us about that?
Yeah, Ford told the designer, and I can't remember his name, but I looked it up on the internet, and he wanted a futuristic-looking car. This is a 63, so you had to do it back in the late 50s or early 60s. The 61 has the same body style, but the 63 is the only one that has this here, and then the body style. It's just different, and it's just sleeker and looks dressier. So we waited, found this, and my wife Rita and I, we saw this one, and we bought it the next day.
Wow,
They just don't stay around when they're for sale. You better jump on them and get them.
That's cool. So you told me that there's some futuristic things about this car. Would you mind telling me about a couple of them?
If you look at the dash, the inside of the car, it looks like a cockpit of an airplane. And if you look at the tail lights, the round red lens looks like the end of a jet fighter of the time. And the steering wheel, if you look, is built for comfort because when you get out of the car, you can actually swing the steering wheel out of the way. So it's for its day, it was very futuristic.
Bill, your car grabbed me instantly because of the sheen on this. What color and what model and what year? Tell us about this vehicle.
Okay, we got a candy apple red 1964 Chevy Impala.
Okay. All right. And the engine, what kind of engine's in this bad boy here? What are we talking about horsepower?
Working with a little around 350 horses. The engine is an original 283 out of 1964 Impala. Just beefed up a little bit.
Okay. Is that something you did yourself or did you buy it all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. How long have you had the vehicle?
Going on 4 years. It's a work in progress.
Work in park? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you drive this around or does this stay in your garage and come out once a month?
No, I drive this every day.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So
as long as it's sunshine.
I got you. No rain touches
None.
it. Okay.
None.
All right.
The car's a 1970 Chevelle SS 454 big block car. I live in Dyer, Indiana, so it's a local car.
And 70 Chevelles are a very hot item right now, if you can find them, the real nice ones.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
Did you do all the restoration yourself?
No, not really. Actually, I bought it recently. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And what size engine is? I guess together from what I can see, it's a big block.
Yeah, it started out as a 454, but it's been bored out and everything. It's about a 468 engine in it.
And you have it running a kind of transmission here on
It's a 400 trans with like a 32 or 28 stall in a transmission.
Okay.
12 volt posi in a differential.
It's a 23T Roadster. I bought it from a guy last year. It was all redone, and then he took it all apart. And I bought it like that and just redid it the way we wanted to do it. It's basically a stock motor. It's got a high-rise Edelbrock carburetor. It's got a racing distributor. The base motor's basically stock. It's got a 10-bolt Chevy 410 posi. It's got graphics from Misprint. Did the graphics for us. We just buffed it out and redid it. We cleaned it up and changed the chrome and stuff around. And that's about it. We drive it all the shows.
We've got Mr. Archer here. Mr. Archer here is going to tell us a little bit about his car. 442 is kind of a rare car, I believe. You don't see a lot of those around.
No.
How long have you had the car?
I've had it 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
And have you done any modifications to it since you bought it, or
well,
or did you do it all?
It's been completely restored, but not by me, by my pocketbook.
Oh, your pocketbook, okay. Is it pretty much original from what it was
yeah,
new?
Everything is pretty much original as it came. A couple of minor modifications, but
and what year is it?
69.
69. Yeah. Do you have any idea how many they made in 69 of 442s?
Approximately, I think about 12,000.
12,000, yeah, that's a small production number. That's why they're kind of hard to find. Do you have any problems when they were doing it over to finding parts for it?
No, not really, no. No, there's 2 or 3 big companies that specialize in Oldsmobile. So,
remanufactured parts? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hey, I'm here with Ken. Ken, why don't you tell me about your ride here?
That's a 75 Cadillac Coupe DeVille.
Okay.
33,000 original miles. The car is all original. I bought it 2 years ago.
You bought it 2 years ago and you haven't touched
I haven't
it
done
since,
anything
right?
to it. I have to keep it clean and drive it.
All right.
Because it's a fun car to drive.
Is this something you drive all over the place, or is it
No,
just something?
just the shows.
Just the shows.
That's why I purchased the car. It was for shows.
Oh, okay.
I bring it wherever's close by locally.
I got you.
Within the 50-mile radius.
All right. Any facts about this vehicle that you know about that you'd like to share with anybody?
Well, it's a standard Cadillac with a few extra options. It's got a 500 cubic inch engine in it, which is standard in that year.
Okay.
It has a few options, and 75 options where the red striping, for instance, like the door guards, floor mats. That was options back in there.
Yeah.
Back in the 75.
Those are the comforts back then, right?
Oh yes, it's got power seats, power windows, air conditioning. It's loaded as far as the car is concerned.
Fully
back
loaded.
Then.
Yeah. All right, great.
It's a 1933 Ford. It's a 3-window coupe. It's a Downs automobile. It's about 20 years old. It's got a 2.5-inch chop, a 350 Chevy motor, Ford rear end, 350 trans, and air conditioning.
And when he's talking about Downs Coupe, Downs makes these bodies out of Michigan. I can't remember what part of Michigan. I know it's just on the other side of the state line, but they make a lot of beautiful bodies. And how long you've had the car?
I've had the car 3 years.
3 years. And have you done much work since you bought the car?
I bought the car, I drove it home, and took it all apart and redid it all. Had it repainted, suspension, motor, did all that.
Okay, beautiful car.
Thank you.
And does somebody locally do some of the rest? Did you do any of the painting or upholstery?
The painting
work?
was done by a gentleman by the name of Jim Ross, who owns a company called Letters, Lines, and
Jimmy
Designs.
Ross, oh yes, Jimmy's great.
He's a phenomenal guy.
Yes.
He's a Vintage Tin member like
Yes.
myself.
Oh, you're a Vintage Tin member?
Right.
Okay, that's a local club that a lot of guys who are car gurus like this gentleman belong to Vintage Tin. It's an old club that's been around for a long
40
time.
years.
40 years, yeah.
This is a Volkswagen Carnegie. I came bad chance in a junkyard, and I started to, modify the car and reconstruct the car. As for, it has a chop top that being top was removed 6 inches, and it's a removable roof. Suicide doors, a hydraulic suspension that I designed myself, to like jacking system that raise it up off the ground entirely, and some newer features to it. The car is a 72, but I put a lot of newer features on it. Late model, as for like the front lights on there is the front lights off a 2008 Mini Cooper. And got Porsche rims on it. I put a lot of work into the car. Yeah, this is my first year. This is really my first time entering the car, any type of event. I usually never put it in a show, but this is like the first time I wanted to do it. And by me living in the neighborhood, I feel like it would be a good opportunity for me to put it in the show.
This is a 1950 Hotshot Crosley. Powell Crosley started making refrigerators, clocks, telephones, and then he was an inventor and he was very economical.
Okay.
So he decided to make a car. It was a pre-war car, and he wanted to make them very affordable.
Okay.
So this is a 1950. It is customized a couple years later with the interior.
All right.
kind of, there used to be a plastic along it, but now there's leather.
Now, did you guys do the interior over yourselves, or did you buy it that way?
Well, since I was 6 months old, I've been going to a festival called the Newport Hill Climb.
Okay.
It's an antique auto show where you can race antique cars, only stock engines, up a hill. And our friend was not able to come for the past couple of years. We were his pit crew for, I think, 10 years, and so the last 3 years we bought it from him, and we've been racing it.
Okay.
So.
You have any success with the races? You win?
Yes, this year we won 3rd place with
That's
a time
a high five right there. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
so
into that.
we got a good time, and so in about 3 years I get to race it up the hill, and
nice.
I get to drive it.
And
so.
then you get the glory, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So is there anything else about this car that anybody should know?
Yes.
It was the first car with 4-wheel disc brakes.
Okay.
And
it's an interesting fact for sure.
Yeah.
How fast does this bad boy go?
Well, probably went faster 60 years ago, but
Right.
now it goes about like 30, 40.
Okay, so it's safe, comfortable driving then.
There's no doors, so you
Right.
can't go too fast.
Okay. So then this just comes out only for festivals, or do you guys
Yeah.
kind of cruise around?
Well, we live about 2 blocks away, so we drive it around the neighborhood. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
To cruise night.
We want to ask Don a little bit about his Corvette. I know he's owned this Corvette for a long time. He's been underneath this car with a toothbrush and cleaned it for many shows. And so Don's going to tell us a little bit about his car, what years, how long he's had it, and basically that's the question. How long have you had the car, Don?
15 years. 15 years.
I know that you've won a number of car shows with it, a lot of trophies.
I've got over 200 trophies with the car. I've had the car at Chevy Vet Fest, World of Wheels. I've always done well out there. When I bought the car, it did not look like this. Got 700 hours of restoration in on the car to make it look like this. This is totally original color, Daytona blue. The original motor, trans, everything else like that. All the numbers match all the way through.
And
the car's got 209,000 miles on it.
And having an all numbers match car, we know that all certainly brings the value up quite a bit. Because of the restoration, because it's an all matching numbers, this car is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect car.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a 72 Di Tommaso Pantera, and they were imported into America from the years of 1971 through 1974. And after 74, Ford Motor Company, who was the company that was importing them through Italy, decided they wouldn't meet some of the bumper height specs, so they dropped the line. But Di Tommaso continued making these cars in Europe up until the mid-90s.
Okay, so you said this is, European imported car. So just what's special about it? What makes this different from the American car?
Well, actually, it's a hybrid. I mean, it's Italian. It's 100% Italian built and assembled in Italy, except they use the Ford power plant. They used a 351 Cleveland engine through an agreement with Ford, and it's a mid-engine vehicle, so the balance of the car is pretty neutral. So it handles like it's on rails.
All right, so is this thing still pretty stock, or did you put a lot of work into it?
For the most part, it's stock. I mean, there's some significant engine modifications, but as far as the body goes and the interior, things like that, it's relatively stock. This would be the way the car would appear, except for some minor polishing work in the back, in the engine assembly and things like that. But for the most part, this is how the car would have appeared if you would have bought it through Lincoln Mercury back in 1972.
Well, this is a 1970 Dodge Charger 500. This is a California car. It came from San Diego about 25 years ago. This car has less than 50,000 original miles on it. It's a 70 Charger 500. It's got the original 318 engine and 904 transmission. Interior's all original. I did the body and paint myself last year. I rebuilt the engine myself, so it's something I've been playing around with for about 11 years.
Okay, and you bought the car 11 years ago then?
I bought the car 11 years ago.
Okay.
It currently has less than 50,000 original miles.
Is there anything special about this car to you? Why you chose the Charger, the 1970 Charger?
Well, the Charger's always been my favorite body style. When I was in high school, the first car I had was a 69 Charger, which is the same body style. So this body has always been one of my favorites. But when I found this vehicle with as few miles as it had on it and as little work as it needed, I had to grab it.
Had to jump up and
Yeah,
grab it.
absolutely.
The car is a 1967 Ford Custom 500. It's a replica car that my son J.P. Rowe and myself purchased last year. Never saw police duty, but it's equipped with all the original period correct paint, the color schemes, radar units, radios, all normal equipment a police vehicle will have. It also has period correct equipment inside, the riot helmet, the leather jacket, patches from Chicago PD. I was in law enforcement 30 years. I'm retired now, and my son is still in law enforcement. So we purchased the car. We take it to car shows since I'm retired, and different police memorials across the state and the country, police funerals, and we just have a good time with it. It's equipped with a 289 V8 Ford engine, 2-barrel carburetor, which was standard on the traffic cars back in that period of 1967 versus a 6-cylinder engine that the beat cars used. Everything is pretty much intact, including the engine, all original. The only restoration was on the front seat and the floor of the vehicle. Other than that, for an old car, it's in pretty good shape.
And if you tell us a little bit about your car, I know it's a Ford. It's you said it was 1929.
1929. I've had it probably about 4 years. I didn't restore it. It was already restored. I got it in Colorado.
We were looking for one with a rumble seat rather than just a straight coupe.
Most of the Roadsters do have the rumble seat, but I wasn't just looking for one with a rumble seat, but they come with it, and I was looking for a Roadster, and that's why that I...
It's all original?
Yes. Well, it's original parts, yes.
And as far as the upholstery, apparently it's like the mohair upholstery, or is that similar to what they had when it was
It's similar to what they have when it's new. It's not the exact same. The upholstery. Actually, for the Roadsters, it's usually leather upholstery, but they customized this and made it a little bit different. You know?
And the significance of your rider back here, I find quite interesting. Somebody just to take along to keep you company.
She keeps me company. That's my mistress, really.
Oh, I see.
My mistress, yes.
Okay. This here is a 1969 Buick Electra. I had the car for 18 and a half years. The car was rebuilt in 1998. I put a lot of time and money into it, and I guess that you would call this is my quote-unquote baby. Okay, the engine is a 430 Buick Wildcat motor. It's a 4-barrel Rochester carburetor. The engine was rebuilt in 1996. It was punched out at 30 over, and I have a radical cam in it. So it's running almost a full house, and it runs pretty good. Well, I've been in the cars, I guess, since I was in high school, about 27 years ago. And what I like about the old cars is they're easy to work on, and getting my hands dirty, tinkering with them, and just having fun with them.